Hello, everybody, and welcome from very cold Vilnius, where everybody's either sick with COVID or has a runny nose, just like me. Well, maybe not everybody, but quite many people. Today, the topic and the gathering is about quite a major change on the market, new commerce experience. As a CSP indirect provider for the market, for the region, One Click Factory is keeping its promise to help partners grow and understand the changes, the strategies, what's upcoming. And we had so many questions regarding what to do, what to expect, that we decided it's better not to take one-on-one to support our partners on one-on-one basis, but rather get the experts, get the partners together, and have it in a one session, all the questions answered. It is the time, of course, to reconsider your cooperation with the CSP and how you want to move forward. And if you are not part of One Click Factory program yet, by all means, I encourage you to join. We would love to see you among our partners and would love to support, to provide this more than 130 Dynamics experts supporting you on cloud. So what do we expect out of today? I will not provide you the detailed agenda because panelists have really prepared slides and detailed instructions and what you should expect. Basically, if you have a question that comes from the areas, so why should I migrate? What are my alternatives? How should I build my strategy? What can I expect? Maybe, and most important, how do I mitigate my risk once I transition my customers to new commerce experience, and key dates and timelines. So basically, these are the areas. And if you have a question, by all means, I suggest you do not wait till the end when we have a questions and answers session. We want this to be interactive session. If you have a question regarding these areas or something else, maybe you already have started investigating and have very specific questions, go to chat and write your questions there. We are going to have, our promise is that all the questions will be answered, regardless whether it is during this session or outside of the frame of the session. Of course, the questions that we know answers of, because maybe not all the answers are even clear to ourselves. We are getting updates from Microsoft, we're learning ourselves, and we are sharing that with you as our partners. With this, let me introduce the panelists and experts joining the call, joining the webinar. Once the one expert will be presenting the slides and getting into the details, the other will be taking questions and maybe answering on the chat. We also have some more people joining from One Click Factory or QBS side who will use the opportunity and help you out with some questions to be answered. So check the chat if there are questions or discussions going on there too. And with this, so Agnė Balkevičiūtė-Lajienė. She has been with One Click Factory company for more than probably 12 years, one of the first persons to join. So her experience with Dynamics solutions, with strategy, with helping partners to grow is huge and intensive. And if you are partnering with us as CSP indirect provider, most likely you have met Agnė already. She is the one who jumps into the restart and help partner understand, so what is awaiting, what is cloud journey bringing him, what should he expect, and helping them build go-to-market plans, strategies. Right now, she's joining as expert on CSP because it's really where she is focusing a great deal of her daily work at the moment. Hello, Agnė. So, Agnė, can you tell, so what's the fuss, very shortly before I invite you to the slides, what's the fuss about this new customer experience? Is it a major change, not that much? What in your opinion?
So I would say that there is a change in the duration of the subscription as a key change that is coming in. And the term of the subscription that Microsoft was providing was always 12 months, right? So we were always talking about the annual subscriptions with the customers. But in reality, the implementation of that was never strict enough, right? So we used to have something like an daily subscriptions, right? And in reality, Microsoft is stricting the rules, right? And we need to understand the consequences of that to prepare, to inform our customers, right, on the real practices that we'll see in the future.
Looking forward to. As I understand, you are receiving quite many questions from partners already. So looking forward to see what summary you have put together and see that helps partners move forward. Our next expert, let me introduce Anna Jager, who is representing our former sister company, but now the company that we are merging together, One Click Factory and QBS. So if One Click Factory has come with with technical services, development, upgrades, QBS is our partner, licensing partner. That's where our major expertise on licensing comes from. And again, if you are cooperating with One Click Factory on CSP indirect, the transacting license, CSP licenses, you might not even know that for some complicated answers, we do reach out to Anna's team, asking for help, support, and that's where Anna comes with huge support and strength and very detailed answers on the specifics of Microsoft is bringing. Hello, Anna.
Hi, good afternoon for most of the persons. I'm in the Netherlands, so for me it's still morning. Indeed, sister companies and merging together. I see already a lot of familiar names, which are also on QBS side, so that's nice to see.
It's nice. So, Anna, in your opinion, are partners ready? You are handling these very deep technical questions. Would you say that partners are ready for the change? Because the change is about here on the corner.
Yeah, the change will start in January, of course. And as Agne already mentioned, the main major change is the term. That's really a commitment what customers will go through. And besides that, I don't think that's the main change. Besides that, the licensing and the ordering processes that will remain the same. But yeah, we have to get used to less flexibility. And if customers want flexibility, they will need to pay some additional costs.
Yes, that's true. Well, again, looking forward to see the details and what partners ask and how can we help. You also see my picture on the screen. So my role is to ensure that partners from Central Eastern Europe are happy, whether they need an upgrade service, migration, or a consultancy, or they would like to join CSP program. So if there is anything, my role here is to support you. If you have a question, write to chat, and I will make sure that panelist gets it, don't miss, or even when it's needed, I will go back and contact you with the answers. And with this, I would like to provide the floor to Agne. So Agne, welcome, and let's dive deep into the content that we prepared.
Thank you, Inga. Very nice introduction. And happy to dive deep into the newcomers experience topic, right? This is not a comfortable topic to look into because it is bringing a change. And so how do I see what kind of change is that bringing? So when we are talking about the newcomers experience, and especially license and seat-based services, right? The key thing is decline in flexibility. And what does that mean? So we had an experience where we were used to pay-as-you-go model. Just not because rules were different, right? Rules were the same, but those rules were not implemented from the Microsoft side. So some of us, like partners, we got used to the practices, and we handed over those practices towards the customers as well, right? So today, when Microsoft forces the rule of the term of the subscription, we are in reality facing a significant change. So the changes, as I see, from pay-as-you-go model to subscription model, where pay-as-you-go model enabled our customers to spend and use as much as they would like to the seat-based offers, right? Meaning that if they start a subscription and cancel throughout the subscription term, prorated refunds would be provided from the Microsoft. Of course, that provided a less waste from the customer, less need to plan, right? Equally, we could receive more insights on what is in reality being used and adapted by the customer. And it had a low barrier to enter into the customer, right? Because there were no commitments for the future terms. The change that we have, the change that is coming, is more like a subscription model that used to be called a subscription model, but now will be enforced as a subscription model, right? So this means it has some benefits as well, right? It has a consistent and predictive revenue benefit, meaning that not only Microsoft will have a consistent revenue, but us as partners will have a more consistent revenue as well, right? And besides that, this means as well, on the other side, that we will have to provide a service to the customer, even if they won't use it, right? Because subscription means that you subscribe to something and you have access to the service throughout the subscription term, whether you use it or not, right? The flexibility that is in the model is bringing a subscription term of 1 month versus 12 months or 36 months, right? That is the flexibility that model brings. When looking into the Microsoft's new commerce model, I would say that there are few of the questions that are not yet answered. And the significant feedback is being provided towards the Microsoft from OneClick side, factory side, from QBS side, from partners side. And I would encourage you to take time and share your feedback with Microsoft as well. The usual areas of the feedback is 72 hours window to cancel the subscription, but maybe that is slightly too short, right? The other area of the feedback is on the bankruptcy policy or escape clauses that are not within the model today. Right. So if you would have an opportunity, please share that feedback towards the Microsoft. Program is in place as it is today, right? But Microsoft sometimes implements changes on the go. We've seen that, right? So, but the question is for a number of us, so what do we do and what actions do we take when thinking about the new commerce experience right? And I would recommend to look into the new commerce experience from the two angles, right? To think about new commerce experience for the new customers and to think about the new commerce for the existing customers. And let us see what kind of recommendations we do have for new and existing customers. But before diving into the recommendations, let us align on the details, right? And here you do see a summary of the details that are some of the numbers. Let us walk through them together. But the idea is that on the slide, I gathered Microsoft Dynamics Business Central Essentials SKU recommended retail price, right? And to take a look into how that differs. If we look into the legacy CSP, how does that look into the new commerce CSP area, and how does that look with the promos that are in the market today? So on the first lines, you see some of the numbers in greenish and some of the numbers in grayish color, right? Greenish numbers are the elements that are on the Microsoft price list, and grayish numbers are the equivalent, right? Because we are looking into the pricing per subscription term, comparing that per month. So if we look into the legacy CSP area that is titled here license-based services, right? We see that on the Microsoft price list, it doesn't matter what kind of term would we choose. That was always per user per month price, right? And we see equivalent what the equivalent pricing would that be per 12-month subscription, per 36-month subscription, as it would go. If we look into the new commerce experience price list, right, we see that the prices there are per user per subscription, meaning per user per subscription for 1 month term, per user per subscription for 12-month term, or 36-month term, right? And we could calculate the equivalent, what is the equivalent per user per month, and compare that equivalent with the per user per month within the legacy CSP, right? And here we do see that in reality, when comparing, 1 month has a 20% increase in price term subscription, and 12 and 36 months term subscriptions have a very equal pricing when comparing to the legacy CSP. What does the new commerce experience promotions are bringing in? And later on throughout the session, Anna will dive deeper into the details on the promotions that are currently running for new commerce experience. So we see that promotions that we have currently for the new commerce experience enables the 1 month subscription term for the customers to have the same pricing as it used to be within the legacy CSP area. And when we are looking into the 12-month subscription period, there are even better pricing terms than within the current legacy CSP price list, right? Then we need to think about the availability of all of those models, right? So we need to understand that the legacy CSP is ending, right? So we can talk about the mid-March to add new customers into the legacy CSP, and new renewals within the legacy CSP will have to be terminated before the June 2022, right? So we need to keep in mind that this is definitely not a long-term option that we can look into today, where the new commerce CSP is here available and will be available maybe forever, right? You never know. Another aspect to think about is incentives, right? Microsoft incentives on the core CSP is ending September 2022. And besides that, there is a unpreferable feature related to revenue requirement throughout the last 12 months to be at least of $25K threshold to have an incentive on the legacy CSP that is not there on the new commerce experience incentives model, right? So having all of those elements in mind, we are coming in with a recommendation. So what actions to take and how to think about the new customers. And our recommendation would be, that thinking about the new customers, the first thing is to understand the details of the new commerce experience and limited flexibility that it brings, to having that understanding, implement certain changes if these are needed, and then to start onboarding new customers into the new commerce experience, right? So when thinking about the limited flexibility, we need to understand that this limited flexibility is on both ends. Not only on the Microsoft's end, but on the customer's end as well, right? This meaning that throughout the subscription term, no customer can switch their provider, right? So that is a limitation and commitment from the customer side. So we hear frustration from the channel that some partners are going after each other's customers and taking them out. So we do have that limitation on the flexibility for the customer to stay with the partner throughout the subscription term. On the other side, that limited flexibility and that commitment means that obligation to collect and pay Microsoft for the entire subscription term lands on the partner's shoulders, right? Because there is no cancellation policy. So then we need to be very careful when defining the subscription periods that we are recommending our customers to commit to. There is 1 month, 12 month, and 36 month periods, where 1 month period is coming at 20% price premium, right? And just as we talked before, there is a firm cancellation policy. So if someone starts a subscription, they can cancel within 72-hour cancellation window. And this means that if someone cancels after a day, they will be billed only for that 1 day, right? But if they would like to cancel outside of the 72-hour cancellation window, that unfortunately won't be satisfied until the end of the subscription, right? So that is flexibility, or less of the flexibility that we do have in the moment.
Agnia, can I step in? We have a question, and I think it's a quite relevant question. Anya is taking, but I think your feedback will also be valid. So Remco is asking. You mentioned that there is a way to ask to provide feedback to Microsoft. What is One-Click Factory and QBS way to do? Can partners somehow collect feedback, and how can they provide this feedback to Microsoft? From my perspective, I do see that the QBS and One-Click Factory joint team is participating in regular calls or meetings with Microsoft. So we are really talking to the market, to the partners, and then we are providing this collective feedback to them. What is your view, Agnia? How can partners influence, especially the change that you are talking about? This is probably what creates frustration.
Yeah, so there are standard ways to provide feedback to the Microsoft, right? One place is to let Microsoft contacts that you have know what you think, right? By writing an email to them or by telling it when you meet them, right? The other way is the Microsoft support channel, is to share your feedback via the Microsoft support channel, right? So One-Click Factory and QBS together, we take every opportunity to discuss this topic and to provide the feedback to the Microsoft. But the louder we talk, the more of us talks, maybe we make a more significant influence in this area.
Thank you.
Shall I continue, or shall we take some more questions?
No, this was one feedback that we had.
Okay. So then if moving towards the recommendations of the things that you might consider to look into and to fix within your processes, within your systems, within your teams, within your relationships to the customers, right? So first thing would be the readiness, sales readiness, meaning, having your team aware of what newcomers experiences, to have a reasonable discussion with the customers, right? To have those options of the subscription terms visible, to have understanding that those subscription terms could be mixed and matched, right? And to have standard questions that customers might ask, on what is the reason behind, why is that changing, prepared and be ready to answer these, right? The other very important element is to validate your customer contracts and to look into the clauses that you have in relation to subscription termination. One of the examples is Microsoft Customer Agreement. And in the Microsoft Customer Agreement, there is a section around pricing and payment terms. So those pricing and payment terms in the Microsoft Customer Agreement applies when customer is buying directly from Microsoft, right? Not when customer is buying from the partner. But you could look into these terms and think if you would like to incorporate these within your agreements with the customers, right? New commerce experience as well as bringing new stock keeping units, right? Or as we call it, SKUs. So please make sure that your systems are ready for the new SKUs that are coming in. When a customer is placing an order for the subscription, because the subscription term is rather fixed, we need to have tooling in place to have a control process on what a customer signed up for, right? So meaning either, order processing activities that you do have should have in mind the ability to track the subscription term that customer signed up for, right? Equally, we need to think about the invoicing process related to the new commerce experience and how ready are we to support this invoicing process versus the other. And of course, the credit management policy. There is an argument that some of us, especially in the area of the dynamics, are already used to a longer commitment terms, not like monthly, but rather annual commitment terms with the customers. But if we are not, there are different ways to think about it. One of the ways is upfront payment option, that could be exchanged. When we are thinking about longer or shorter commitment terms, we can think about the business insurance to be added into portfolio, or, for example, to have operational charges to cover for the risk of the non-payment or non-collection, right? And besides that, if we have a recurrence, we need to think about the controls we would like to add to discuss the renewal, because the renewal timing, and if we are talking about, let's say, annual subscription term, right? The renewal timing is the time to rethink how customer would like to engage in the future, what kind of terms they would like to have in the future. So all of these things, to have in mind and to use as a checklist when making sure that you are ready to onboard new customers throughout the new commerce experience, right? And then, as the internal homework is performed, to offer new commerce CSP is very similar to what we used to. This is the usual flow via QBS and One-Click Factory CSP management platform. As there is a change in the incentive programs, right? What we need to do, we need to make sure that we are all enrolled in the Microsoft Commerce Incentive Program. And please make sure, even if you haven't started, transacting new commerce experience yet, please make sure that you, even before, rolled into this Microsoft Commerce Incentive Program, because it covers a bit of the legacy CSP as well in some areas, right? So that was about the new customers. What about our existing customers, right? the flow is as well rather similar. Though we do have, you see from the flow, it is understanding, planning the transition, and executing the transition, right? Here is the flow very similar, though we urge you to plan the transition per customer, right? Not to jump into from January 1st or from today. So first thing when we are thinking about the gains and losses in what it is for my relationship with the customer, right? There is one area of gains related to the incentives. Right. So if it turns out that you have silver gold competency, but you are currently under 25K USD during the last 12 months, and you are not reaching that monthly minimum revenue threshold, right? Then there is a good reason to move your customers into the new commerce experience faster than later, right? Though we could argue, so we are not, if we are not reaching that threshold, so what is the incentive anyway, right? But that's up for you to decide. And then we do have a limited flexibility question as well that we looked into before. And Inga is waving, so I assume that there is a question.
We do have some questions, yes, Agna, and some questions might be related to Anna. So the question is, so will the portal stay the same with newcomers experience coming, or do we if partners are using already QBS portal?
Yeah, the portal remains the same. We are really busy implementing all the changes in our platform, but I expect that high level, the ordering process and the management of your customers will remain the same.
Thank you. And then Finn has a question. We have customers who rent their NAV on-prem licenses paying monthly fee. Will they have an increase of price already? Will there be a change in their billing? Do they have to commit to a 12-month plan? I know you would like to answer this, okay?
For the on-premise market, I haven't heard anything about price increase or whatsoever. This is really CSP NCE related.
Just to be sure, this applies only to cloud solutions, not older on-prem solutions, AX 2009, AX 2012 payments.
Yes, new commerce experience and the price increase that we are talking about is CSP program related. That is a cloud solution provider program related. Microsoft is using other tools, right, to help accelerate migration towards the cloud, right? So instead of changing, end customer pricing, they are taking certain discounts from the partners, right, within the on-prem world. Right, so the change is there. Microsoft is building a better business case for the partners in the cloud, and the change that we are talking about, the new commerce CSP change, right, that is relevant for the cloud.
And then Slagian has a question regarding alternatives. So does the changes mean that the biggest cloud sales advantage, pay-as-you-go, will become 20% more expensive? Is the strategy the same in AWS and Google Cloud?
Oh, this is an awesome question, right? So I would say that pay-as-you-go option for the seed-based licenses disappears, right? We were used to subscription term of 1 day because of the prorated returns in case of the cancellation. So that disappears. We have a minimum term of 1 month that is at price premium comparing to a term of 12 months or 36 months, right? When we are talking about Azure, Microsoft Azure piece, and the consumption of the Azure machines, it is slightly different calculation of the subscriptions and commitment terms in there. When we are talking about license or seat-based offers within the CSP, we are talking mainly about the Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and maybe, Annie, you can add Power Platform, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So, and the last question before I will again give the floor to you is how can we ensure that our existing customers benefit as long as possible from the current license conditions?
This is as well, good question to ask. I would say that we need to look into what is the overall benefit is, right? We could look into the specific case of the customer, having not only two customer price, right? But having as well, what is customer commitment, what customer like to have a flexibility of this 1 day subscription term. Is this what customer is in reality looking for, or are we looking into the overall business case with the partners incentive, certain accelerators that could be applicable to that customer, right? So there is no generic answer. I would say that it would be advisable to look into each specific case separately. If someone would like to optimize for the opportunity to have a cancellation, to have this flexibility on the cancellation, right? One of the strategies could be to utilize the latest option to renew the subscription, to use the longest at that point in time subscription term possible, right? And give customer the flexibility to cancel that, whenever they would like to do. But equally, most probably that is not the world we would like to live in the future. As partners as well, we don't intend to optimize on customer cancellations as such, right? We would like to build a practice and to have our business smoothly working with the commitment that customer understands they are in, and offer running our business smoothly and helping our customers to run their business smoothly.
Thank you, Agnes. So let's continue with presentation. I see we have some more questions. Anna, maybe I would like to you step in and answer those questions, and then we will come back to them later when we have another break for questions.
Okay, excellent. So then when thinking about planning the existing customer transition, right? So what kind of things do you have in mind? First of all, we need to remember that every customer will have to convert to that new commerce experience or new commerce CSP, right? And a question is, who will have that discussion with the customer? Today, customers are used to having several providers. Someone is providing Microsoft 365, someone is providing Dynamics 365, right? So I would encourage you to be ready to have that discussion with your customer about the changes that new commerce experience are bringing and the breadth of where and how you could support your customer across all of the CSP offerings, right? Or to answer that you can support your customer only in one area, right? Then another important thing to think about timing, right? Because we do expect that majority of the customers, due to price premium on the monthly subscription, most probably will move into the annual subscription term. So therefore, we would recommend here to think about transforming the timing of the transformation. That is a good fit towards the customer and as well a good fit towards towards your internal operations on when that transformation to perform, so that in reality anniversary dates, right, for all CSP subscriptions that your customer has are in line, and you could have a discussions of renewal, that are related to all of the subscriptions that customers have, right? And how much could we postpone? I think we had that question just before. And with that, let me hand over to Anne, who will dive into the details of the program as such. And I hope that this context that I was walking you through will help you pay attention to the details that Anne will walk us through.
Well, thank you. And I think you already went into quite some details here. So it may happen that information is shared twice, but I always say better twice than nothing. So let's start with my presentation of this webinar. Well, first of all, why NCE? Microsoft started the program back in 2019, where it then was only applicable for Azure. In the end, Microsoft created the new commerce experience so partners and customers can purchase the Microsoft products via one program. Yeah, that's one program and one invoice stream. That's what they are heading for. And well, it may take some time before it's really there, but because Microsoft has a lot of different programs, as we all know, but this should be the final result. And back in the days, it was created for Azure, just to get transparency via Azure Lighthouse, because indirect resellers were not able to see basically the costs for their customers, because it was on provider level, and that's in the new commerce experience gone. So partners have access to Azure Lighthouse, and that's basically a dashboard where a partner can see all their customers' Azure subscriptions and do the management from there. And besides Azure Lighthouse, also Azure Cost Management is now available for the partners. So what's in NCE? Well, Azure new commerce experience, that was already there, and you see a column back, and that's for partner earned credit. I will go into further detail after this slide. So basically, these are the software programs which are offered currently. Azure reserved instances are available now. The seat-based offers as announced, but also software subscriptions and perpetual software are available. Only Azure is based on usage, consumption, and the rest is just price list and, as we all know, purchase price and customer pricing. So that won't change. So Azure and NCE, well, Microsoft, as also in seat-based corner, Microsoft pushes customers to move over to new commerce experience. For Azure, new customers were already forced from last July on. They could only order Azure subscriptions in the new commerce experience. Phase 2 is also coming in 2 months. But yeah, the margin of the legacy Azure subscriptions and the incentives will be removed. So it's really time for partners to start acting and transition their legacy Azure customers to the new commerce experience. And phase 3 to be decided, but expected will be 2023. So the transition process is quite straightforward. It has to be done by the indirect provider. It's just 2 clicks on Partner Center to transition the subscription to new commerce experience. Good to know that it won't affect the customer in any way. It's just attaching a different billing mechanism to the Azure subscription. And again, Azure Lighthouse and Azure Cost Management are tools for partners, which is a big advantage, I think. So this was the Azure part. And then, of course, I want to highlight more the operational side of the new commerce experience. As Agne also already mentioned, there are now 3 term subscriptions. We used to have 2, only the 12 months and the 36 months. Now the 1 month subscription is introduced. 20% more expensive, so the flexibility, you have to pay for that, and Microsoft also advises use only the 1 month subscription only for example, seasonal workers. So, for example, if you have a customer who is in the tourism and need more licenses during the summer season, then that's the option to go to. Besides that, the 12-month subscription and the 36-month subscription is what Microsoft would like to see to order. The commitment is there. There's a cancellation term that you can cancel licenses within the first 72 hours. And on day 1, you get the full refund. Day 2 and day 3, the refund will be prorated. But on day 4, the customer is committed to the term, and the cancellation is not possible anymore. 3 subscription. How would I say that? There is a pause option added to the subscription, which is currently not there. Pause option can be used by partners, for example, when customers, after several reminders, don't pay their invoice, they can pause the subscription, and that will block access to the customer's environment. Besides that, nothing happens. Billing will continue and there will be no loss or whatsoever, but it's just a new option. And also a new option, currently all subscriptions are on auto renewal. If you want to stop the subscription, you have to cancel it. Now in the new commerce experience, you have the possibility to disable auto renewal. Well, this was the first announcement, 14th of October, that the go live would be. Well, there was a kind of go live, but they made it a technical release for partners to get used to everything and be ready to implement everything. These are the products which will be made available. So basically, every subscription or license which is in legacy will be moved over or also be available in the new commerce experience in both 3 terms. Microsoft introduced 2 promotions, and this morning there was the latest update that the promotions will start January 10th. There is a promotion for the monthly subscription, which has a duration until end of June, which gives a 20% discount on the monthly subscriptions. So basically, if you go for that offer, then the price stays equal because the 20% is deducted of the monthly subscription. And there is a 5% discount offer on the annual subscriptions. Both offers are limited to 2,400 seats, and well, that's quite a number. But be aware that the number of seats is tenant-wide. So if the customer has a number of seats with another partner, then you can order up to the 2,400 because there are already those licenses available in the tenant. So some key dates: January 2022, the general availability, again the annual term promo of 5% and the monthly of 20%. There are some dates where you still can order, and that's perhaps important to mention, March 10th is the date where you can order only for new customers. Until that date, you can place orders in legacy platform. After March 10th, new customers can only order in the new commerce experience. And for renewals, Microsoft extended that period a bit until June. So renewals can take place in legacy CSP until end of June. Well, in October, Microsoft announced that the NCE transactions will only get incentives. So yeah, again, a push to move the customers. And July 2023, Microsoft would like to see that all customers are transacting in the new commerce experience. Here are the timelines again, and yeah, well, that's no commerce experience, but perhaps good to mention that from March 1st, 2022, some Office products will increase in price. Again, there is a nice page where you can find a lot of resources, also customer material, how you can convince the customer to move over. And yeah, that's high level my presentation. I would like to hand over to you, Inga, for the last part of the webinar.
Just a second, we have so many questions coming that I would like, before we hand out, I would like to cover some questions as well. Let me just check, because I see that Agne is intensively answering. So there are quite many questions regarding BREP to CSP. Anya, could you refer on whether the situation with the promotional offer BREP to CSP stays the same with the changes?
Yeah, they mentioned that every offer, including the promos BREP to CSP, but also Bridge to the Cloud, will be available in NCE.
Thank you. Then there's a question regarding the funding. Is there a funding that Microsoft provides for partners to implement the NCE, or it comes purely as a cost for partners?
To be honest, I haven't heard about a funding program. And yeah, I guess the cost to implement things are for the partners. I did hear that Microsoft provides some tooling, APIs, that kind of stuff. That's technical. That's something I don't understand. But yeah, the funding, I'm not familiar with that. No.
Okay. Then Igor is asking, does the commitment length affect the billing frequency from indirect provider? Early commitment billed yearly ahead, or is there still a monthly option?
Yeah, so in the annual subscription, you can do annual payment, but it's also possible to do 12 monthly payments in the annual term.
Yeah, and then Sabina has a question that I do see partners asking right away. So very often that so far it was very easy selling Business Central or other solutions because you could terminate really easily. So the question is, most customers who converted from on-premise to SaaS did so that they can pay monthly. How do we address the inflexibility that is being brought up upon by NCE? Agnes, maybe it's already business-related question. How would you debate that? And what would your arguments be? Why to go and why this flexibility was removed?
Yeah, so I would say, customers could continue to pay monthly, right? There is this payment flexibility doesn't disappear, right? The flexibility that disappears is about the commitment term, right? So, of course, it depends on what kind of solution you are thinking, what kind of infrastructure you are thinking about. But let us take, for example, my example that I used for the calculation, Business Central. No customer is implementing Business Central for a 3 days usage, right? Of course, they don't, right? So the intention for us as partners to support the customer and the intention for the customer to have a solution in place, right? It is a long-term intention. The question is only related to the risk. What if customer is out of business, right? This is, of course, a difficult part. What if, if we do not collect the payment? And we, as businesses, we need to be ready for that specific area, right? But in reality, the flexibility from the customer's perspective, it stays the same. The commitment, it used to be a paper commitment in the documents, in the marketing materials, that these are the subscriptions, right? So now only Microsoft is enforcing that. It's, of course, it's a pity, but if we are looking into the overall, what other providers are doing, no one has a daily subscriptions on the ERP or other things, right? So I would say that other providers, they only have slightly more flexibility on what happens when the partner is not able to collect the payment from the customer because customer is out of business, right?
I see that your feedback answers quite many feedback that we are receiving in chat. Remco and Elizabeth was sharing the same. So what are my arguments? So I guess we are a bit addressing the arguments piece. Then we have a question from Jan. So pausing the subscription only is an option to put pressure on end customer, but will have no effect to the payments partners have to take. Is this correct?
Sorry, which question?
Pausing the subscription only is an option to put pressure on the end customer.
Yeah.
But
Yes, that's right.
That's correct. Okay.
Yeah, billing will continue.
Mm-hmm. Then we see that the brief to CSP that we covered. Customer from answer a question from Leho. If customer has currently bridged to cloud SKUs and is in the middle of a first year period, does he has to rearrange the order also monthly versus annual if he chooses 1 year period in the middle of running period? So if someone is in the middle of transition, how should partner?
I would always say wait until the expiration date, or what also an advice could be, check your customer subscriptions. If they have multiple subscriptions, then move them over in one, so they have one start date for every subscription, and that's better manageable in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would just do everything at renewal date.
This is a little bit connected. Leho added some more. If customer adds new users into first year subscription in the middle of period, does it start new 1 year period to new users, or added users have the existing 1 year period?
The existing expiration date remains. So if you order in the middle, the initial order date and the expiration date count. So there will not be an extended expiration date.
Mm-hmm. Charlotte Louise is asking, we understood that the March date had been delayed to June 2022. Is this the case?
Well, only for renewals. There was a March date for both new and new orders and renewals. So new orders can be done until 10th of March. After that date, NCE is the way to go. But Microsoft extended the date to June for renewals.
Mm-hmm. Where we can get information about APIs?
Sorry, Inga, you delayed a little bit.
Where we can get this information about APIs? This is the question from Sabine in the chat. Maybe I'm not pronouncing the APIs correctly.
the information is visible in the Partner Center announcements, and that's a very important place to stay up to date on everything. So if you log into Partner Center, in the right top corner, you see a little bell, and from there you can go to the announcements page. And yeah, I would really advise everyone to check every day on the announcements, because important information is shared over there.
Mm-hmm. Then there is a question from Gaurav that I think we addressed this. Can existing customers on CSP lock into their current price protected 36 months SKUs to defer to the need to move to NCE in 2023? Agne, I think you were talking about this.
Maybe Agne, you would like to take this one.
Yeah, that's 1 week ago, Microsoft had a CSP Spotlight call, and there they addressed that the term, when you order in legacy CSP, the term will count. So if you order a subscription for 36 months, then that term counts in the legacy CSP. So if you want to stay in legacy, then I would advise order subscriptions with the long term, and then you can benefit from the cancellation flexibility.
Thank you. And then I see that Jan mentioned that the link I posted to provide feedback to Microsoft is not working, but I see my colleague Robert has already stepped in with the right link. We have a question from Slagian. To be clear, if customer has 1 to 3 years contract and go bankrupt, the partner is obliged to pay for the rest of the period, 30 months, right? This seems very odd, as the user will not use the Microsoft Cloud resources, not the licenses. So this is something that...
Yes, it is really very odd, right? And I personally would expect Microsoft to hear this feedback.
And then, at least from what I see, the last question from Saksan, does existing annual subscription customers get 5% benefit to renewal of the license?
Existing customers, if they renew, they do get a new commerce experience promo.
Mm-hmm. So thank you. We have prepared quite many resources for you to have a look, where you can find more information or check something that we might have missed and not covered everything. My colleague Augusta, she will send you the recording together with the links of useful information with a follow-up email after that. And with that, I would like to thank you, everybody, joining. It looks like this is an important topic, and we can all learn. We can all see what the options are. We can all look for updates. From ours, advice is get acquainted and prepare for the new changes coming. Be ready to talk to your customers and explain the changes to them. Download the handouts that we prepared. That would help you in your discussions with the customers. Also, plan your customers' transition, whether you wait for the licenses to end or whether you do it now. So Agne and Anne referred some strategic decisions that you have to make. And also, while moving to new commercial experience, you will have to sign the new contracts with your customers. So it is a very good period to evaluate whether you have the right partner to cooperate on the changes, to receive updates, and to be guided through your journey to cloud. So answer the questions whether if you haven't changed anything else yet, we would love to have you in the program. So if answers to the questions like, does a company, CSP indirect provider, have enough experts? Are they professional on Dynamics? Are they ready to guide you and help you with strategies that are waiting ahead? We would be more than happy if you chose us, and we are more than happy to provide the support of these Dynamics experts that come behind our back supporting you. With this, Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Agnia, for your expertise. If we will notice that there are questions that came right after we said goodbye, no worries. We will take them after the call, and we will contact you directly after the webinar. With this, happy holidays, happy Christmas, happy vacation if you are planning some. Bye bye.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye, everyone.